Hey, so hi everyone, welcome back to the Dune Imperium Ultimate Guide. In this video, I forgot what number it is already, but we'll be talking about alliances. So bear with me, we are almost done with the groundwork, okay? We'll talk about alliances, then we'll talk about miscellaneous points. After that, we can finally talk about strategy. We are still at laying the foundation, okay? So we're going to talk about the next set of hard points to get. These points are called alliances, okay? Alliances are not guaranteed and everyone's fighting over them. But let's jump right into the guide. Yep, so here we are with alliances. Let's just jump right in. In the rulebook, it says, there are many factions, there are 4 factions, right? And the first player to reach 4 influence with a faction earns an alliance with a faction. So they gain the alliance token, and you can see on the token there's this victory point, okay? But if they are ever passed by an opponent, right, to a higher space on the track, right, they must give the alliance token to the other player, and then they lose the victory point and the opponent gains the victory point. So these are additional 4 victory points in the game that all the players fight over. So all you need is 4 influence to get a victory point. So does 4 influence means that you get 2 points? So 2 points, 1 being from friendship and 1 being from the alliance? Well, yes and also no. Let me explain. So, as the rulebook says, right, let's say if you're the red player, you have 4 influence with the Fremen, and what happens is if someone passes you, so if green passes you, let's say green goes to Fremen twice, he passes you, you lose the alliance to green, okay, and then you lose a victory point. So, and what happens is that after let's say after green goes to the 5th space, right? If, let's say you're on the 5th space, red is on the 4th space, do you feel safe? You don't feel safe, right? So what do? You tend to go all the way to the 6th space. So you spend 6 influence to kind of secure the alliance. So what we see is actually 6 influence gets you 2 points. And what happens is that 2 influence for the friendship and 4 influence for your alliance point. And this is most of the time, so between 2 to 4 influence for the next point. So you can see that this is more expensive than a friendship, alright? And a lot of times, unless you put in 4, it's not guaranteed as well. So how do you know someone is going to chase you? Let me share with you some of the telltale signs. So first one is that if someone buys one of these cards, so all these cards, they have the word alliance on them. Anyone with one of these cards is highly incentivized to go up that track and get the alliance. Okay, all the powers are insanely strong. So get ambassador, if you get alliance, you can convert spice into points. Firm grip, if you get alliance, is worth a reveal of 4, which by itself can get your spice and slow. For humanity, lets you shift down from faction influence to get victory points, and Steel Suit Manufacturer lets you play and return it to your hand, leading you to very high persuasion draws and a ton of water to go research station. So when someone has these cards, they are signaling to the table, they're telling the whole table, I'm going to work for this alliance, right? And if you are already invested into it, well, most likely they will come and chase you now because they are highly incentivized to. So the next thing, right, is you must beware of sudden movements, right? So let's say if you are the red player and the green player is on 2 influence with the Fremen, right? And suddenly they send their agent to Steel Suits, right? And hey, they are now at 3 influence. So you look at it like, okay, why did he go to Steel Suits? Does he need the water for research station, and you must ask yourself, are they missing the other friendships? And can he go to the other friendships? If he can go to the other friendships and he doesn't have the other friendships, then this move is very sus. And so any sudden movement will cause like everyone to put all their defenses up and defend their alliance. So when you have an alliance, watch out for sudden movements. So, between all the 4 alliances, they're not all equal. Some alliances are easier and you get chased less often, and some alliances are, the likelihood you get chased is higher. Not that you won't get chased on any of them, but relatively. So in Emperor and Spacing, the likelihood you get chased actually is low. Whereas Fremen and Bene Gesserit, I think the likelihood that you're being chased is high. The only one being like if there's a Tessia in the game, then maybe this will change. But generally this is the case. Okay, so I'll just talk in broad strokes. So the reason because it's so, right, is that the Emperor Alliance, right, or the Emperor spaces aren't very good in the mid to late game because you don't really need Solari, and the spacing spaces, right, you don't really need full space in the late game, and Highliner costs 6 spice, and someone doesn't have a lot of 6 spice to spend. So even though they might try to get a point through the faction space, because the rewards aren't good, right, it's unlikely that people come and chase you through conventional means, like just by marching up the track. The one caveat to this is that for the Emperor Alliance, because there's a 2 troop bonus at the top of the track, right, and with the Alliance bonus of passing the 4 influence mark, right, these 2 troops sometimes will incentivize players to come here. But in general, because Solari is not it's not useful late game, most of the time people don't come here late into the game. Whereas Bene Gesserit, right, everyone loves the Bene Gesserit, and because selective breeding is the prime spot throughout the mid to late game, because selective breeding leads into spice must flows, right? So the selective breeding leads into spice must flows. So mid to late game, everyone wants to go selective breeding, right? It can fix a lot of your hands, it can do a lot of things for you that are generally good. Okay, and secrets is something that you never hate to do. Like if you have a spare faction access and it's somewhere in the mid to late game, you don't need Solari, you don't need a full space, you don't really need to enter combat. No, sure, I'll go to secrets and get half a friendship point. And because everyone loves Benny, right, I think that this is one of the tracks that actually is one of the most competitive. It doesn't help that a lot of the good cards, so let's say the 3 costing cards, right, these are just the 3 costing cards, which I think are all within like A tier-ish, A tier up, right? They are Bene Gesserit cards, right? Test of Humanity, Sayadina, Truesayer, maybe Sisters is like a high B. But many of the good cards are Benny cards with faction access. So the faction access is strong, the cards are strong. Yeah, it's just chased down a lot. Then think about Fremen, right? The Fremen Alliance is a bit tricky because it's only 2 spaces on the board which, other than Highliner, that have combat access for faction space. So because they have combat access, right, there are a lot of times where you just want to put like 1 troop in combat, or you want to win combat, so you go to Hardy Warriors. And there are a lot of times when you are at 2 influence already, and you just go to the space because you need combat access, and you go up to 3. And when you go up to 3 and someone's at 4, then you start to ask yourself the question, can I steal this alliance? So the reason is very hard to get and maintain this alliance is because there's a lot of randomness that goes into this, just because people go here for combat access. Okay, so these are the hard alliances, I feel. So I said Emperor and spacing are like easy alliances that you can get. No one challenges it. But is an early alliance good? Well, the question actually comes is you should ask another question, and the other question you should ask yourself is the alliance reward useful? Emperor gives you 2 troops that for certain combats, if it wins you the combat, is very strong. Spacing gives you 3 Solari. Bene Gesserit gives you an intrigue, and Fremen gives you a water. Most of the time, until the late game, you cannot forcefully activate the Emperor troops at a combat space. So you can't really get it early in that manner. However, for like spacing, right, this 3 extra Solari that you get from spacing is very often what you need if you're the shipping player. So let's say you're going interstellar shipping, right? A lot of times you see the interstellar shipping player go for the spacing alliance. And the reason is because the shipping track, right, when you go up 2 and then up down, right, and you get 5 Solari, how much more does it take to reach 8? Which is what Swordmaster is. You need 3 more, right? And it just so happens that spacing gives you 3 Solari. So very often in the game, you'll see the person with interstellar shipping access who already has the friendship try to get the alliance to get the Solari for Swordmaster. Okay, so in some sense, the Spacing Alliance is good for the interstellar shipping player. And then I think with regards to Fremen, right, if you have a card like Sayadina, like there's some niche cases where it appears like where you just need the extra water, either to like collect the spice, to go research station, or to activate Sayadina. You need that 2 water, right? Because you go to like still suits and you get additional water as well. Yeah, so there are some niche cases where they are good. But most of the time, are early alliances good? No. Most of the time, early alliances are not good. And why are they not good? Early alliances often lead into arms races. So what I mean by this is that, let's say if I have an alliance, I have 4 influence with any faction. What happens if someone has a friendship, right, and they just so happen to go to 3 influence with the faction? How do you feel? You feel terrible. You feel terrible because you need to defend the alliance, you know, and you're scared. Everyone's suddenly on a full-on fight. It's a full-on race to kind of lock in the alliance. Even if you go to 5, then after that, you know, based on how the turn order is, if they get mentat, then suddenly it's all up in the air. And normally when someone goes to third, maybe they have like tricks that they can like pull that get them a double bump. So most of the time, early alliances are bad. So when should you try to steal an alliance? So you can think of this from 2 perspectives. One is that if you have an alliance, when will people come and steal from you? And the other one is that when should you make a move to steal an alliance? So the top reason should be against the table leader. Alright? Because if the table leader gets to 10 points, game ends. And if the game ends and you don't have 10 points, you lose. Alright? So for you to win the game, you need the table leader to lose the game. Is the table leader always the one with the most alliances? That's not always true. But when you're able to discern who the table leader is, it's very often good to posture as though you are going to steal his alliance, so that he needs to spend the resources to defend it. So number 2 reason when you should steal alliances when you have hidden assets. Okay, so when you have intrigues that give you faction bumps. So when you have intrigues that like for some reason can like give you the extra push to overtake someone. The reason is that you being at 5 is not enough, you have to be at 6, right? So you must find a way to get to 6, because in that way, right, you can kind of lock in the alliance. So often you need these hidden assets. So whenever you have them, you can think about whether there's a chance for you to steal the alliance. So consider it. So the next time you can consider stealing alliances is that when you have a Haymaker. I think the easiest of this is like power play or treachery. You know, you play a card and you get 2 influence directly. But a lot of the cards also have other ways for you to get faction bumps and get them at very odd timings, like getting them at reveal, you know. Then when you reveal and you start the next round, then you have like a double bump because you can act first to kind of steal the alliance then. So when anyone buys any of these cards, the whole table should be on lookout, especially if you have an alliance. If you have an alliance, you must watch all these cards like a hawk. You must see, has this person played this card? Is it still in his deck? When is he going to play it? And if he plays it, where does he play it? If he plays it, will it jeopardize my alliance? So all these cards are cards that you kind of need to remember. You need to remember who has them and have they been played? Where are they? Are they going to be drawn soon? If they're not drawn this hand, are they going to be drawn next hand? Have they been cycled? So things like that. These Haymakers are things that you need to watch out for. But if you're the one stealing alliances and you see this on one thing, you steal alliances and you see this on the roll, definitely go and purchase them. Okay, and then you just create a lot of burden on the rest of the table. So special call out to the Haymaker, right? The Haymaker being shifting alliances and a combination with this and interstellar shipping or smuggling, right? The reasoning is that when you ship up and down, you can get triple or quadruple bumps, and you get them through getting the spice, or just spending your spice. You can go down somewhere, go up to, you get another influence from shipping itself, and if there's memo quarters or shuttle fleets there, you get another bump. So it can be up to like quadruple bump, right? With one action. So yeah, if someone has shifting allegiances and they have interstellar shipping access, you should definitely watch out. I think alliances are definitely stolen in this manner. And I think the last one I'll talk about is that if someone is nearing this spot on the research track, and the reason why this point is an issue, right, is that if someone can do a combination of things like either shipping or go to research station, that gives them an influence bump somehow, right? So you ship down, you get influence, or I don't know, like if you go research station, maybe you get you play some card that gives you a faction access, or not gives you a faction influence, and then suddenly you have a double bump. So this particular spot on the board is something that you should watch out for, as it is your timing to steal an alliance. Okay, and if anyone else on the table is near this spot, you should be on the lookout for your own alliances. Okay, so this is one of the key spots on the board that you need to watch out for, this part on the shipping track. So, by ending off this video, I want to talk about this, is that alliances actually fall into the category of hard points. Because I think if you hear me talk about this whole video, I'm talking about stealing a lot, I'm talking about losing alliances, I'm talking about losing points. And it takes 6 influence to kind of guarantee them, and everyone is fighting over them. So friendships require 2 influence to 1 point. Alliances require 2 to 4. Okay, 4 to guarantee the alliance, and 2 if you are friends with everyone. Okay, but often, right, in the game, like each player should have enough resources to kind of secure 1 alliance for themselves. I mean, there are 4 players, by right, everyone should have 1 alliance. This is not often the case because the person with interstellar shipping access and the person with Swordmaster generally has more influence than everyone else. But you should be able to find a lane find something that no one else kind of wants, grab the alliance and be happy with it. Okay? But the best advice and the best hope that I can give you, right, is that you just hope the other players fight over the alliances, and they hope that they don't fight over your alliance. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I can't remember which part of the guide it is, but next we'll talk about some miscellaneous points. We have to talk about tech points, intrigue points, mainly intrigue points are big ones, and card points. And then after that we can go on to strategy and tactics. Thanks for staying tuned for this guide so far, and I hope it is helpful. See you around!